What's up, guys? Welcome back to Wrenching Wrecked. Got a parts delivery today. Way faster than the powder that I actually need for the job I should be working on right now. That I ordered last week and it's still not here. Somewhere in that box are the snap rings I need to finalize the shovel head and new master cylinder. So we're gonna have to make kind of a brake fluidy mess here, unfortunately, and start taking all this off, which we'll do a quick bench bleed on the new one. But we gotta pull the linkage, this from the bracket, the brake line. We'll leave everything hooked up on the caliper, but I think I'll open that up, just double check that the new master looks proper, and then I'm gonna try and do this without taking out everything. We got a cotter pin on the back side of this pin that we gotta get out, but cotter pin here. I don't think I gotta pull the bracket. That should be threaded on the bracket plate. So I think honestly it's just gonna be cotter pin, brake line, these two, yank that out of there, and go with that. And then we might actually do a rebuild on the master while we're at it, since I might be trying to recycle the brakes for that. Give the customer a new one, and that's what he wanted to do anyway. And rather than scrap the old stuff, we'll try and make do with the old one. And if it doesn't work, I'm out 30 bucks on a rebuild kit, but it's worth the gamble in my opinion. So we'll give that a shot. Let's grab some tools, get set up, and start ripping this thing apart. In about 30 seconds, I thought I'd be responsible and clean all this up first, pull the other one first, but I think what we're gonna do is suck up everything out of here, try and clean up some of our mess since we got the vacuum gun here. Still gonna be making a mess, but if we can limit that a little bit, that's all right. So just a little vacuum pump if you haven't seen one. Super useful, and you can get them extremely cheap at Harbor Freight or Amazon these days. Not bad for a little job like this. We got clean fluid there. And hopefully we have enough room to get this out of here. I have to thread that in a couple bit. The hardware for this kind of sucks. That should be enough room. All right, 2 bolts, so this should go pretty quick, as long as I can get this cotter pin out. It's gonna be the hardest bit. Trying to get to the back side of this with the brake pedal still on. Really don't want to have to take all that off. Hoping we don't have to. Okay. Didn't somebody say they were sending me a hammer? So I don't have to keep beating on things like this. Okay. As long as I can pinch the cotter pin, we should be able to get this out. It's nice and loose now. Some really skinny needle nose would work wonders right here. There we go. Come on. Got coffee shaky hands today. There we go. Cotter pin is free. So now we should be able to get that out of there. Let me grab another set of pliers, I think. Something different, something to help with that. I don't know what to use here. Okay. 3/8 fitting on here, but I can't get a socket in there, even a little guy. So that's unfortunate. Use a box end. 12 point on the factory brake line fittings, but 3/8 banjo, nothing fancy. So close to being done with these. I don't know when they're going to get picked up or anything yet, but I'd like to clear out a little more space and then just honestly take, if it's out of my sight, then it's also out of my mind, right? Like, seeing this stuff every time I come in here, I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. If it's gone, how's that for stress relief? Grab a rag real quick. But after wasting as much time as I did trying to get this to bleed proper, very confident in it just being a bad master cylinder. I mean, it's 98, so to me this is like a brand new bike, but it's still far from new. In fact, it's all still factory stuff is pretty impressive. Almost positive this thing's probably been dropped a handful of times in its life. Come on, how do I get this pin out? There's not really a lot of room here. Of course, it's gonna be something stupid. This wouldn't be bad at all if I pop the foot peg off and then the whole lever slides off, so I can do it that way too. I was just really hoping I could finagle this and try and get the pin out freely. But that doesn't seem like it wants to cooperate, so let me just rip out the peg real quick. Why would anything go nice and easy? Peg seems a little bit stuck. Apparently I misplaced one socket, 5/8, which we did use on the plugs for this. I'm guessing I set it somewhere stupid and didn't put one away. All right. A little bit too tight for a standard one. There is a spring clip still in here too, so it's one of the reasons I was trying to avoid this bit. Not that big of a deal, but there's our peg. Come on, break free. Please. If you ask politely, it might work. Not so much. All right, let me grab a big screwdriver here. Come on, don't make me take all of this off just for a stupid set pin. So I'm worried I'm spinning the nut on the back side of this. Okay, let me get creative and try and figure out a way to pound this pin out of here. I really don't want to have to yank all this out. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just trying to avoid having to take more parts off, and I really, really don't want to have to separate the exhaust. So we're doing everything we can to keep this in one piece here. We'll be back. I know there's a million people doing Evo builds and things, Evo Sporty things. This is definitely not my area of expertise at all. So if there's better ways to remove all of this, please let me know. But I think come on, the master's already off. I just got a pin that's stuck, and it's shallow, so I don't really have a ton of room to try and work this around. But what if I get this snap ring off? Guesstimating here. If I can pop that snap ring off the front of the master, we'll be in better shape, and most of this is going to have to switch over to the new one anyway. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to kind of pop this off and leave the linkage connected to the pedal. Like that. I mean, this is just a boot, so it should disengage from there, right? I would think so. You're not fixed, are you? What's holding you on? Is there another clip of some sort? Jesus. Just a quick, easy master cylinder. That's all he said it was. Just a quick Evo fix. That's all I said. Just don't understand what I'm stuck on. You not just a plunger? Are you loosening or are you spinning the stud? So many questions here. Am I making more work for myself by trying to avoid doing work? Can I feel the back of the sprocket cover? Should be getting looser, but you're not. Oh, this is stupid. Going in blind. Cue the time lapse, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what I'm stuck on. Or do I just open the new box? Let's do the new box. Grab the new one and see what I'm actually looking at here. I got our new master cylinder set up here. I don't know how well this is actually going to work. It's pretty much the same design. Not too concerned about getting all this to go back in together, but what I am concerned about is the fact that the snap ring's already pre-assembled on the plunger, 1. 2, the current screws will not work for my setup the way this is laid out. I will not be able to get a screwdriver in to tighten down the lid yet. So this could turn into a bigger thing than I want it to. I gotta figure out a way to get something back here and pound this out. So let me look through the hammers and bits of claw hammer things that you guys hate and see if I can find a place to make that work and kind of pivot this on the stud here. I don't want to pry into the case, but if I can get it on the stud, I'm okay with it. Try and shock this pin out. Oh, look at that. You guys don't like claw hammers. Not actually talking crap to anybody in particular, I get it. But that just came right out. Too stuck to push out with pliers. But now I'm actually just curious on how these work. Yeah, we'll come back to that because we're most likely ripping this whole master cylinder apart anyway. But I guess I could set this back to where it was, maybe. See how strong and capable I am with hands wedging into a mobile part. Come on. There we go. All of which is redundant because this is most likely coming apart anyway. But there is our master cylinder. disassembled and apart. Now, I lost my banjo washer in here somewhere. And I lost the screw for that master. I'm on a roll for losing little bits today. Man, gotta drink a beer or something. Too much coffee today. Okay, there's our banjo washer, so that's good. And then this guy. Got a plug here for that threads in, and then we'll have to tighten this down. I guess we'll snug this down first. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is there anything on the lock nut that I need to worry about? Should just thread all the way on there. Okay, let me grab a wrench and tighten this guy down. Let's take a quick little field trip over to the bench. Unfortunately, I got to put this nice little polish piece in the vise. I don't really have soft jaws up here, but we'll be pretty gentle. At least get this thing laid out. I got this one tightened down, so we got to hook our banjo hose up to there. But I think we might be able to try and get this at least good enough to get some fluid going through here. Kind of pre-bleed it, if you will. And do I have anything to hook that up to? Need to make sure we're not running dry. So this is chucked up in the vise. And then so I'm using my thumb kind of as the suction over here. Keeping pressure. I don't know how much of this you can actually see. Maybe this makes more sense, huh? It's already building pressure and maintaining it. This is so much better than the other one. All right. I'll do one more of those. It's feeling much better. It's moving a lot more fluid, and I'm already losing pressure on my finger where I can't actually maintain resistance on that. One more. Hopefully you guys can hear how suctiony that is. That's what you want for a master cylinder. So what I think I'm going to do now, this is going to be crappy. We're going to top this off as it sits. We shouldn't lose that much fluid through here. This is definitely not the best method of doing this, but it should work for what we're trying to do, hopefully. And then snug this thing back up. Then we're going to try and see if we can hook this all back up together the way it's supposed to be without having to go too crazy on the, what do you call it? Taking the exhaust off and making all this work. Worst case scenario, if it's got to come apart, it will. I'm not going to send a bike down that's half-ass brake bled, but might be able to get a little Allen head in here, like a little mini stubby shorty Phillips extension deal. We'll find out. We get our brakes back put together first before we fully mount the master. Wonder if that'd work. Alright, so I'm just snugging down our hard brake line here. Ish. And then we'll get a loose bolt into our peg. You can't tell I'm totally guessing here. This is newer than what I anticipated. Well, not anticipated, but newer than what I'm used to working on. Cut me a little bit of slack if you don't mind, while we figure this one out together. I don't understand. These are the bolts that came right out of here. So in theory, these are also the bolts that should go right back in. What is the deal? Oh, my bracket moved. There we go. That should be helpful. Much better. And we gotta kind of wrestle our brake line in. I'm gonna get that started before we fully tighten everything down. We got our banjo fittings here too. So banjo, brake line, banjo. Did I tell you how much I like playing with brake fluid? Because I don't. Dogs are sneaking up on me, getting all spooked. There's a little bit more room there. That screwdriver bit might actually cause a problem for us here, but we're not quitting yet. So now we have banjo is tightened down. Let me grab some brake clean and let me clean up before we go any further. I want to wipe all this brake fluid off of here. This is why that didn't come out. This piece actually threads in to here. So if I looked a little bit closer at that, that probably would have made a lot of sense. What size are you? Oh, two that I don't have out. 1/2 inch. On our lock fitting. So we're gonna try and pound this off of here. And what, is it a 10 mil or is it 7/16? Figured in the 90s they were still hopefully mostly using American standard. All right, so 7/16 on the lower stock. That should have freed up the outer bit. Trying not to break the adjuster out too much on this so we don't have to change all that much. So we pretty much came back a thread. Yank this out. Thread this guy right back in and then jam nut it down. Whew, there's a lot of threads here. There we go. We'll thread this all the way in and then tighten up the jam nut. Then align the pedal, then tighten our bolts down. And then see if I can get that cap off, because this is pretty useless if I can't get the lid open enough to add more fluid when we bleed it. There we go. Let's go 7/16. Where'd I put the 1/2 inch? Get this out of my way. And good. Jam nutted down in place. So now this will line up on here. Might take a little bit of coercing. Get this fully in. Come on. Halfway. A little more. This is super unfortunate. It's so close. It's trying. What the hell's going on with this thing? Well, the master's almost bled already, just from pumping this, and that's not even actually doing any of the bleeding. Why are you not fitting, though? Is there some crap in there? And you came out of there, right? So it's got to go back in. I unthread this, make sure that it'll actually fit back in the kicker where it's supposed to before we add the tension of the master. Longest bolt ever. But we already almost have full brake pressure, so that's good. Fits right in there. Oh, there is a little nub in there. Let me see if I can find a file. It's that little burr right there that's hanging us up. Let me get some sandpaper or a file in there, clean that up, and then we'll be right back. So we ground those down just a smidge, but now I got plenty of clearance on this, so back at it. I'll tighten this back down again. I'm gonna get interrupted here in a little bit. I got a buddy of mine coming over to give me a hand and take a look at some of the vinyl stuff I'm looking to have done to give me an idea of what I want done for the compressor. So if I get this done while he's roughly here, that's why. Well, if I forget to come back after that, because I do need to have this done tonight. Well, I do want to have this done tonight because I have a million other things to work on. Look at that. Get rid of the burrs, drops right in. This is where a ball peen would come in handy. I'm not using the right one. And before we drive that all the way home, I'll kind of get this set. But man, I almost got full brake pressure already. So, how do I need to do this? I need to bleed this. Let's see how far in this goes. Make sure everything tightens back down the way it's supposed to. All those hours the other day. And that's a bench bleed and a quick mechanical one. So if you are struggling, hell, I don't want to say that because I've definitely had some very finicky master cylinders over the years. Motorcycle ones can be a huge pain sometimes. But I spent a good amount of time on this the other day. Probably an hour, hour and a half that I wasted between pumping fluid and then coming back to this and do the vacuum lines and all that other stuff. I thought it was going to be okay because I did have pressure on that initial, but then it lost pressure and I thought it was just not bleeding. Yet, I mean, we're rock solid, almost rock solid here, and I haven't even opened the bleeder on the other side. And we don't have any weird noise, and I bet if we turn this brake light on and tap this, it'll stay on, which means It's maintaining pressure. All right, we're gonna unconventionally try something here. Well, shit, how am I gonna do this? I need somebody else up here. Maybe, just maybe I can convince my buddy when he gets here to hold that brake for me while we bleed this. Okay, that's pretty much gonna be the end of this video for now. We'll be back after. I don't know how far or how much we'll get done, but essentially we're at the point where this is now holding and maintaining pressure. So what that means is we need to take the lid off so I can actually top this off with fluid. Then while this is being held down, I gotta crack the 3/8 bleeder screw on the caliper itself. This will go all the way down. I will lose all pressure on the brake side. Close the bleeder screw after the pressure is gone while this is, so hold down on this, don't let off of it until I reclose that bleeder screw. Then close the bleeder, let up on this, top it off, make sure it's full, pump it up, pump it up, pump it up until we get pressure again, and do that 2 or 3 times until there's no air in the system. I won't have much just based on how this feels. I've done this enough times to know roughly that that's going to bleed out really nicely. So I will try and get a little mini, I'm gonna take one of these little bits. If I need to use a wrench on that, that should be fine. It's a bleeder screw, it's not on there that tight. So let me try and get that cracked open and then see if I can finish this up today with an assist. And that probably won't end up on camera, but that's all I'm gonna be doing. Hopefully when I come back, we'll be done with this thing. This is even more unconventional. So I cannot get even the little nubby screwdriver bit that I wanted to in there, and I don't have a replacement piece of hardware that will also fit in there. So I have the lid off right now. Not doing a ton of work up here, so it's not gonna get dirty, and it's only gonna be open for a bit. But I got the bolts re-threaded in on the master, and since this is almost bled, I can see we're still almost full here, and I have almost full pressure. So I know that when I hold this down, pump that out, we should be in really, really good shape. I'll probably need 2, maybe 3 pumps on this just based on feel. It'll stiffen up a tiny bit more, but we're not looking for all that much more. I'm not gonna drain the reservoir, but if I leave this open like this, we'll do that. Get the couple more little bursts in there. Top it off, button it up, make sure it's nice and firm. Then basically loosen these, slide this out, because I do have enough room to get a screw in if I slide this master out a little bit. But by that point, as long as that caliper bleeder screw is closed and we already bled the air out, it'll be a nice closed loop circuit. So this should be able to wiggle out enough to get the lid back on. And then we'll snug that up, re-bolt it in this way, all because I don't want to take the exhaust off. Yay. Fingers crossed, it'll be good. Ooh, I might have to chase the horn wire, see if I can fix that pretty easily. It's the one thing I can't get working. Well, I haven't put any effort into it yet, but I did tell him I'll take a look and see if I can get that working for him. This is all done. We got the master cylinder back in. It worked. I ended up doing it myself. I probably should have turned the camera back on, but I was able to put a 1/4 inch 3/8 wrench there, ratchet, on the bleeder screw on that side, and lay that out here, reach over the seat, pump, pump, pump. It took 4 pumps, and that was probably 2 extra than it actually needed. It didn't get any firmer after that. But if we click this on, we got a working headlight now, working tail light, and a brake light that maintains constant pressure like it's supposed to. So the brakes are fixed. Got a little bit of cleanup to do just because we are trying to salvage this old master cylinder. So I'll put these somewhere important. And then give this a clean up and then chase that down to clean up the rest of that. It looks like if we do end up using that linkage, I will need a little eyelet. So I'll have to come up with something for the extender that threads in there. If we use that, I don't even know if we are for sure yet. Fluids are done, primary's done. I got snap rings in there, so I'm gonna throw a snap ring on the Super Glide. You don't have to watch that, it's circlip, that's it. And I gotta re-hook up the brake hose that we took off when we welded the swing arm up to patch in those. So I got this all welded, and pretty much ready for paint. I don't want to paint this. I'm going to give it back to him like this. It'll kind of be on him. But I got to throw the little eyelet bolts back in the wiring hose retainer. So I got those two here. I'm going to finish that up right now. Then I'm going to go home, eat dinner, and I'm going to say I'm going to pass out, but I'm probably going to go edit some videos because I'm still way behind on that. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all those other fun things. Evo, shovelhead, pretty much coming to an end now, and about ready to go back to their owners for summer, since that's coming up quicker and quicker every day. So we'll catch you on the next one. I couldn't leave it alone. Got it fired up, got all the brakes and the shifters and the pegs put back on, tightened down, and I ran through the horn. The horn's also fixed, but not fixed. Shut this down. Oh, let's run it out again. That's better. She's fixed. Sorry, I didn't keep forgetting I don't have my mic on, and that probably sounds terrible for you guys. I do need to put new plugs in this. That's the only bit left. The horn. Just getting ready to leave, and then decided to check on it because it's all right here. You got a hot wire in and a ground on this side. I have 12 volts going in and out of the switch for the horn, so controls coming down are just fine. 12 volts in, 12 volts out, had a ground hooked up to the ground strap on the battery. Everything's working except the actual part in the middle, which is the horn. So hopefully I have, honestly, I don't know if I have a spare horn laying around, but I'll have to dig something out for that. I'll let them know bike is done. We'll do the shakedown in the next day or two if the weather permits. We got kind of a lot of rain coming our way. And then I'll clean the bench up, get this back on the ground for tomorrow. But everything else on this is done. Which means we need to start jamming on this because I feel bad. This has been here all winter and now we're coming up on spring, summer, and I've been stalling on this because it's way more arduous and tedious. And I'm not gonna lie, as much as I want to film every single part of all of this, I will. But I'm kind of in crunch time, so if the videos get a little bit shorter, I'm jumping over stuff, it might actually be a better video. I won't be blabbering the whole time. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.